FPL is live. Haaland and Isak could be too expensive, but I think I found a forward who could be just as good and costs a lot less. Welcome back for another video. Hope you guys are enjoying pre-season and now getting proper excited as you draft for the new season. In today's show, we're of course going to run through my 15-man squad, my first draft video. I'd love you to hit that like and subscribe button nice and early and drop a comment, of course. So look, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's start with goalkeepers, shall we? I think many of us saw that Pickford price reveal at 5.5 and thought, please, can Raya come in at the same? And if he did, many of us were probably going to go there. So for me, it was a bit of a no-brainer pick. I have considered 4.5 rotating goalkeepers with bench boost in mind. Of course, we've now got double chips. We'll need to play a bench boost before Christmas or the new year. But for the time being, I think I'm going to go in with a set and forget, and I think it'll be Raya. And I'm going to pair him with a 4 million option and not worry about bench boost yet. As pre-season goes on, we'll look more into those options of rotating goalkeepers and playing bench keepers. But Dubravka at 4.0 probably ain't going to play. Even if they sell Pope, they're going to replace him. Raya, though, 5.5 million. Arsenal's defence is so good. I want to show you the defensive data from last year. This will help us pick our defenders too. This is just the Gianni rankings, right? I've looked by goals conceded, XG conceded, and clean sheets, and I've merged them all together to give my final defensive rank based on those three metrics. This is all from the Scout members area. Arsenal come out clearing away the winners. They were the best for goals conceded last year, 34 goals conceded. They were the best for XG conceded too, it matched. And for clean sheets, little unlucky. Liverpool actually got one more clean sheet than them. But the final rank there is Arsenal were the best defence in the league. Annoyingly for Arsenal, the fixtures are really bad to kick off the season, but I don't think that matters. They can keep clean sheets against anyone, and when Arsenal have a tough fixture, they shut up shop. You see a lot of 0-0s and 1-1s. You see a lot of stalemates in Arteta's big games. So I don't see tough fixtures for Arsenal and go swerve them. I think in attack you swerve them. They won't score many. But I think for defence, they can still keep clean sheets against anyone. Worth noting here, Liverpool out on second. But Man City, despite a dreadful season last year, we all criticised them. They still had 13 clean sheets, the same as Arsenal, right? They were second in the clean sheet rankings. XG conceded was bad, 7th, but 4th for goals conceded. So Man City, bad season. I think we're going to see a Man City defender in this team coming up. I think we're also going to see Everton and Chelsea defenders as well. Worth noting, Everton here ranking 4th, Chelsea in 5th. Better than Nottingham Forest in my rankings. Nottingham Forest, yes, good clean sheets and goals conceded, but the expected goals conceded, they were 9th. They were quite fortunate, and their players have got a big price rise. You've got to pay a lot of money now for Murillo and Milenkovic. Chelsea and Everton, you can get 5 million options there. We might see them in my team as well. So look, that's the defending data, and we'll have loads more on data if that's your thing pre-season. But let's have a look at the players I've picked off the back of that info. So Man City first and foremost. I said I want a Man City defender. Aït-Nouri at 6, Gvardiol at 6. I'm going to try and cheat here and go for a 5.5 that can match. Now, of course, Diaz is an option. He'll get some clearances and blocks and tackles, interceptions, clearances. But Matheus Nunes is going to get some attacking returns. If Aït-Nouri's 6, arguably Matheus Nunes should be 6 as well. They're both going to be first choice fullbacks. They'll also both miss some games as Pep changes things up. But Matheus Nunes, I fancy for, 8 starts in 10? Club World Cup, he was awesome. He's been awesome for the second half of last season. He's now a right back. And this was his average position map during the Club World Cup where he was starting games. Just like Aït-Nouri. If you think Aït-Nouri's a good pick, Matheus Nunes is the same effectively in terms of position, in terms of goal threat. And with that in mind, you save $500,000. I do like Matheus Nunes. Now, many of you will be thinking, Gianni, you've gone for a fullback here. And we know with the new rule, you've got to think of centre-backs because they're going to pick up those extra 2-pointers. So yeah, the next 3 players you're about to see are all centre-backs, and I think they're going to do very well in the rankings for clearances, tackles, interceptions, blocks. And with that in mind, Jake O'Brien, welcome to the team. Everton have good fixtures to start the season. Tarkowski is more expensive, so is Branthwaite. You've got to spend $5.5 million for the Everton first choice centre-backs. But O'Brien's played himself in. He'll still get the clearances. Maybe not the same as Tarkowski, fine, but he'll get some. He offers attacking threat at set pieces. He's huge. He's like 6'6". And the fixtures are good for Everton. Since Moyes has gone back there, like, they're a proper Moyes team, right? I see clean sheets in this Everton team without doubt. Like, Leeds on the opening day, Brighton, meh. Wolves, good fixtures. Always back David Moyes teams for clean sheets, especially when they've got the Everton personnel. So O'Brien is in. Then go for Levi Colwill. Now, again, perhaps eyebrows were raised with this one. He won't get a huge amount of clearances and type because Chelsea have a lot of possession. No Chelsea defender will. But Colwill will get clean sheets. Chelsea just kept a clean sheet to PSG in the Club World Cup final. Chelsea are flying. Chelsea will start the season very well, I think. And then I think they'll tail off, just like last season. If you want to go Cucurella, you've got to spend a lot more money. That's the problem here. I like Cucurella and I thought, oh, he'll probably be in my team. But then the more and more I look at it, I go, can I justify Cucurella's price tag now? I'm not so sure I can. He's 6 million. I can have all the other Chelsea defenders for 5. Reece James is 5.5, but just with injuries, it's not worth it for me. So Colwill, Chalobah, 5 million. Gusto, 5 million. If you're looking just for a minutes play, I think Chalobah and Colwill will be first choice, but Colwill's the one. He will start every game. He's fit. So Colwill for me just as a pure minutes play. And then Agbadou next to him at 4.5 million. Now again, this is just a cheap option at 4.5 million. The fixtures are all right. I like the new manager. I think Wolves will keep more clean sheets than when, say, Gary O'Neill was there. And again, it's addressing a team that will be in the top half of the table in terms of defenders that will clock the CBIT, right? The clearances, interceptions, blocks and tackles. And Agbadou is the focal point of that centre-back. He wins a lot of aerial duels. Actually, I saw this chart from FPL Fran. These are the teams that win the most CBIT. So teams where you pick up centre-backs that will get a lot of these points. Crystal Palace, Forest and Everton are the top 3 from last season. So it's teams that keep clean sheets, yes, but they also don't have a lot of the ball. They play deep. And that's why I've got an Everton defender here. I like Lacroix at 5 million. He's firmly on my mind. And then look, you'll see Wolves there sort of just above halfway. I do expect Wolves to get a fair few and Agbadou to be a good pick. Chelsea, Colwill won't pick up many, as I said, but he will get the clean sheet points, which still has to be what we're chasing. And then my 5th defender, 4.5 million, a doggy. I was really surprised at this. Pedro Porro's 5.5 million. Like, why is the right back 5.5 and the left back 4.5? I don't think there's huge amounts between them. They're going to both be advanced under Thomas Frank. Now, of course, didn't play as much football last year as perhaps he would have wanted. But a doggy's a class act, and I think Frank will like him. And at 4.5 million to sit on the bench, mainly, I really like him to bring him in those good fixtures. Guys, we'll move on to our midfielders and forwards next, shall we? Boy, I'm excited to show you this. We've been waiting weeks for this, haven't we? It's been quite late. I'd love you to consider subscribing to the channel. I've got loads of cool team selections planned up with some special guests in the next few days. Hit that notification bell. We might see some team selections from some previous winners. Obviously, likes and all that jazz. And comments. I'll reply to every comment in this video. Also very, very welcome. Now, shall we have a look at some attacking numbers before we see who I've picked? Goal threat, the top 10 rankings. Again, these are Gianni rankings. I've done my own sort of formula here of taking goals, XG and big chances. Liverpool come out on top, no surprises. After a bad season, City still second. Chelsea third. And Arsenal in 4th. Now, combine that with Arsenal's bad fixtures, I look at this and go, perhaps I can swerve Arsenal, but I definitely need Liverpool attacking cover. I definitely need City attacking cover. And I definitely need Chelsea attacking cover. Right? They're the top 3. And look, underrated, Newcastle, Brentford, Brighton, they're still good. Villa in there as well in 8th. So there's some numbers for you. Again, we'll do more of this pre-season. Okay, that's enough of the numbers. Let's look at the players. Now, this team, spoiler alert, does not include Erling Haaland. And I don't see myself necessarily picking him, but I am going to put together a Haaland draft as well off the back of this team, okay? So stay tuned. In about 5-10 minutes, you'll see this team with Haaland in and see the sacrifices that you have to make. But of course, if I'm not going Haaland, I am going Mo Salah. So let's drop him in. He's 14.5 million. And I think that we don't need to discuss why I'm picking Salah. But I think we can discuss Salah versus Haaland versus both. Versus neither. Captaincy is such a huge part of this game. I think you need Salah in your team for captaincy, with captaincy in mind. The game's best player. I have no doubt he'll finish on the most points, even with AFCON. And with that in mind, I know I want him in my team. Now, is there an argument to say you can cover Salah with other Liverpool attackers? You can contribute towards those points, but I don't think you can cover the best player in the game. Can you go Erling Haaland? He started the season so well last time. Do we see the same again? I just think they priced him too high. Like, I think if we were talking about 13 or 13.5 million Haaland, we'd be having this massive dilemma. Salah versus Haaland, 1.5 million between them. Where do we go? I don't think they've given us much of a decision to make. I think 14.5 versus 14 makes our mind for us. Let us know in the comments what you think to that. But I think Haaland is just too expensive for me. I do want to cover that Man City attack, and that will probably be the $1 million question. Can you find the best alternative to Haaland at Man City? I think I've got him as well, and we'll talk more about him in a second. So look, Salah is in at 14.5, okay? Florian Wirtz is another Liverpool attacker I'm dropping in. And again, this is price point led. I didn't expect my first draft to have Wirtz and Salah in. I thought Salah would be 15. I thought Wirtz would be 10 or 9.5. And with that, I was like, it would be too much on the Liverpool attack. Well, this isn't too much on the Liverpool attack. It's the best attack in the league. We've just seen those numbers. And Wirtz has come in so cheap. He's an output machine. If you've watched my pre-season videos so far, I've shown you all the imagery, the data. He's going to get goals and assists, guys. He's going to be playing 90 minutes more often than not, and his team are going to score a lot of goals. So Wirtz is in there. This is where it gets interesting, though. I said about covering the Man City attack, and loads of people are going to be shouting at their screens saying rotation risk. I really like Omar Marmoush, and I'm going to prove to you why he's not a rotate. Look, everyone at Man City can be rotated because Pep's always going to Pep. But in terms of being first choice, in terms of playing 80% plus of minutes, since Marmoush joined, only Gvardiol has had more minutes in the Premier League than Marmoush. He's been available for all games. He's pretty much started them all. Look at these numbers. Look at all the players below Marmoush here. You call a lot of those players nailed. I'm not saying Marmoush is absolutely nailed because no one is other than Rodri and Haaland and Gvardiol when they're fit. But Marmoush is going to start the vast majority of football matches when fit. Only Gvardiol had more minutes than him last year. And look at this. These are all his starts. Now, fair play. He doesn't play 90. A lot of these from Transfermarkt, you can see, came off early. But even when he first came to the league, Chelsea, straight away, he'd only signed a couple of days before. Usually takes Pep ages to integrate players. He chucked him in at Stamford Bridge straight away. And we've seen start. Like, he started pretty much. I think it's only 2 games he hasn't started since he's been, from what he was available. Yes, Haaland was injured for some of them, but a lot of these games he played next to Haaland or as the number 10. And with no De Bruyne, I think that's where we're going to see Marmoush a huge amount this season. We'll either see him on the left or we'll see him in the 10. And I think he's going to be worth the gamble. Let's see what pre-season shows. 8.5 Marmoush, I really like the look of. And he won't be for everyone. And I completely get that. You'll be worried about starts, fine. But maybe you've got a squad to cope. Guys, thank you, by the way. I'm really enjoying this chat. Like, I've loved making videos to date, but now the prices are out. Things have changed, right? And by the way, if you do want to know more about all the defensive contribution points we spoke about earlier, I'm going to drop a link to the video I did with Az from Blackbox a couple of nights ago. There's a good 45-minute section there on the defensive contribution points. I genuinely think it's one of the best pieces of content I've done in a long time, so go and watch that. And Die. 6.5 million, reclassified. He's not a forward anymore. He's rightly a midfielder. Same as Marmoush. If you're not playing number 9 in FPL, if you're not playing number 9, doesn't matter how many goals you score, how advanced up the pitch you are, you're a midfielder. And Mo Salah, if you're an attacking player, you're a midfielder. Mo Salah, that's why he's never been a 9. Marmoush doesn't play 9, only when Haaland's injured. And Ndiaye doesn't play 9. So Ndiaye, a wide forward, 6.5 million. I really like the look of this. He is Everton's best player. He's going to get plenty of attacking returns. They won't score a huge amount of goals. And it is worth looking at midfielders that can be a little bit more destructive and pick up the Caicedo type recoveries for those 2 additional points. But I think I've got one of them in my 5th midfielder anyway. And we've seen Rodri's now 6.5. Caicedo's had a big jump. These players aren't 4.5 million anymore. So I like Ndiaye for goal threat, and I think he'll be Everton's best player. And then I've got Enzo Fernandez, a brilliant Club World Cup. Like, again, if we think about average position maps, Enzo played number 10 a lot in the Club World Cup. His first choice 11 has Lavia next to Caicedo and Enzo in front of them. And with that in mind, we'll see Palmer inverting on the right-hand side. Or Palmer plays the 10 and Enzo's a little bit deeper, but he's still box to box. He's doing a lot of late box runs. He's getting on the end of crosses. We saw at the end of last season in the Premier League. But also, he does all right with the recoveries. He's going to pick up some 2-pointers there as well, Enzo. So I think that's a really good price point for him. I was willing to pay 6.5 for Enzo, and I want Chelsea attack covered. I'm a little bit worried I don't have a Palmer. I like Pedro Neto, but he's 7 and he won't play 90. Enzo is a 90-minute man. He's pretty much like the leader on the pitch for them. Maresca loves him, and he's added goals to his game at Stamford Bridge as well. So Enzo completes that midfield lineup. Now, this midfield will change in a minute when we see the Haaland team. Let's talk forwards, shall we? By the way, if you're not already on Scout Members area, check it out. Like, FPL is now live. Get playing in the Scout Members area. QR code is on screen there as well. And there's obviously a link in the description. Solanke. Big chance Brentford. If you've watched my streams, you know I always refer to Thomas Frank's Brentford as big chance Brentford. Well, now I'm calling Spurs. I think it's going to be big chance Spurs because it's Thomas Frank's philosophy. Now, there's been big price drops in the Spurs midfield, Maddison and Son and Kulusevski, whatever. But who's going to get all the big chances at Spurs? It's going to be the number 9 that's going to be told to stay in between the posts and effectively goal hang. Now, Solanke's going to get chances aplenty, just like Johan Vissa did last year. I fancy Solanke for 7.5 million, and the fixtures aren't bad either. I quite like that. Let's just go to a 5 million sort of semi-dead option. This squad hasn't been built with bench boost in mind. Dubravka is there, and Kostoulas, the 5 million Brighton forward, is there as well as my second forward here. Now, they've spent 35 million euros on him. He's 18 years old. Brighton scouting is the best in the league, right? They go and pluck players like Caicedo out and turn them into 100 million players. Well, Kostoulas, for them to spend 35 million euros on an unknown Greek striker, an 18-year-old, he's got something about him. Will he play first team football this season? Probably, yes. Will he be straight in the first team? No. I don't think he's starting game week 1. I fancy Danny Welbeck to start game week 1. But if I'm looking for a 5 million option because budget's tight, that's where I'm at without a bench boost. If I'm bench boosting early, I need to replace players like Kostoulas and Dubravka. But Kostoulas, third sub, whatever. And this is where it gets interesting. Before we see the Haaland draft, I've got 9 million to spend on a forward. Now, he's no Isak and he's no Haaland in terms of price point, but I think he's fairly close. Look at this chart, toppers, before I show you who it is. Last season, Isak, 211 points. Wood, 200. Who got more points than Johan Vissa? Who got more points than Erling Haaland? Ollie Watkins, and it weren't a good season for Ollie Watkins, and he still finished as the 3rd highest forward in the game. I don't think you could argue if Ollie Watkins was 9.5 million. Well, he comes in at 9. Rashford's not a Villa next season, so there's no threat to his place. There's no John Duran anymore. Aston Villa are top of the ticker. When you look at the fixture ticker, Aston Villa, I filtered this by attacking difficulty on Fantasy Football Scout the first 5 game weeks. And because of all the chips and wildcards, I don't think we need to look much beyond the first 5 game weeks. Ollie Watkins. Newcastle, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Everton, Sunderland. No one has better attacking fixtures than Ollie Watkins. No brainer for me. Yes, Haaland's and Isak might get you slightly more points. Or more points, whatever. For the value and for the early season fixtures, Ollie Watkins has been criminally underlooked and not discussed. I don't think enough. Get him in your team, guys. I think he's here to stay. Of course, I'm going to show you different versions of this team as the next month goes on. Pre-season signings, things matter, right? Pre-season form, whatever. I can't see Ollie Watkins leaving it. Let's see how I get on. How do we see this team with Erling Haaland? Now, of course, you can rip it all up and start again, but actually, Haaland would have to come in for Watkins because that's where your money is up front, and it's still a huge price difference, 5 million difference. So look, version 2 of this team, we'll come back to that version 1 in a sec. Watkins out, Haaland in. Where do I save 5 million? Well, I can trim 1 million from Wirtz to Gakpo. Don't mind that. Like, Gakpo's still going to be good, and he's probably first choice on the left. Although, of course, Luis Diaz exists, and he's probably not being sold. But again, let's see, linked with Bayern Munich. But Gakpo's going to get goals. He did last year, and he's now a midfielder. So you could still cover Liverpool attacking more of a in a bigger way with Gakpo instead of Wirtz and still having Salah. But then Marmoush would have to come out, 8.5 Marmoush to a 4.5 enabler. Let's just chuck Harrison Reed in of Fulham. Don't like it anywhere near as much, this version 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this. So back to version 1 then. I look at this team, and it's really difficult to say who I think's nailed for game week 1 because there's so much that can happen. But I do think players like Raya, players like O'Brien, players like Salah and Wirtz, and Enzo, Watkins, they feel I can't see them going. And most of these guys, I feel that of course, there's going to be a lot of changes, but I'm fairly happy with this team. Guys, I would love you to hit the button, subscribe and like, and drop a comment, and I'll see you very soon for another video.